January 1945. The sun sinks over the rice fields of Luzon, painting the sky in tired gold. The war in the Pacific is turning, but here, in the heart of the Philippines, the shadow of Bataan still lingers. 3 years ago, tens of thousands of American and Filipino soldiers surrendered to the Japanese army. They marched for days without food or water. Thousands died on that road. The survivors were sent to a prison camp called Cabanatuan, a place of hunger, fever, and slow forgetting. Now, only a few hundred men remain inside the barbed wire. They are sick, thin as ghosts, and waiting for something, anything to change. Some have stopped counting the days. Others whisper about rumors that the Japanese will kill them all before the Americans arrive. Far to the north, in the town of Gimba, a small group of U.S. soldiers listens to those same rumors. They are part of the 6th Ranger Battalion, trained to move fast, strike hard, and disappear before dawn. Their commander, Lieutenant Colonel Henry Mucci, stands over a rough map lit by a lantern. His jaw is set, his voice steady. "They're going to kill those prisoners," he says. "We have to get them out." Next to him, Captain Robert Prince, 24 years old, runs his finger along the road that leads to Cabanatuan. It's more than 30 miles through enemy territory. Open fields, patrols, and watchtowers. There's no cover, no second chance. Prince looks up. "That's suicide, sir." Mucci doesn't blink. "Maybe. But if we don't go, they die anyway." Outside, the night is quiet except for the hum of insects and the distant crackle of gunfire from another front. In nearby villages, Filipino guerrilla leaders Juan Pahota and Eduardo Joson are already preparing. They've fought the Japanese for years with little more than courage, patience, and homemade rifles. When they hear of the plan, Pahota nods slowly. "You'll need us," he says. "We know the roads. We know where they watch." The Rangers agree. For this mission, they can't rely on strength alone. They'll need stealth, luck, and the trust of every farmer and scout who joins them. As the meeting ends, the men gather their gear: rifles, maps, a few rations. No one speaks much. They all understand what's ahead. The mission is simple in words, impossible in reality. March through the night, reach the camp unseen, rescue more than 500 prisoners, and bring them home alive. A private whispers to another, "How are we supposed to do that?" The answer comes softly, almost like a prayer. One step at a time. Outside, clouds drift across a pale moon. In the dark, the Rangers begin to move. 121 men walking into enemy territory, guided only by courage and a promise. And somewhere beyond the horizon, inside a cage of bamboo and wire, 500 forgotten soldiers wait for a miracle they no longer believe in. The moon climbs higher over the plains of Nueva Ecija. The air is heavy and still, the kind of silence that carries sound for miles. Every man knows it. One misplaced step, one metallic click, and the mission ends before it begins. 121 Rangers move out from the village of Gimba, slipping into the darkness like a single, slow heartbeat. Their boots sink softly into the mud, rifles cradled against their chests. No one speaks. Even breathing feels too loud. Ahead of them, Filipino guides walk barefoot through the narrow paths between rice paddies. They know every bend, every flooded ditch. A dog barks somewhere in the distance. A farmer hisses it quiet. The villagers have already doused their lamps and hidden their children indoors. Everyone in this valley understands what depends on silence tonight. The march is long, 30 miles through open land. There are no trees to hide them, only knee-high grass and the occasional patch of sugarcane. In the far distance, the glow of Japanese campfires flickers against the horizon. Captain Prince walks near the front, eyes fixed on the faint outline of a mountain ridge. He carries the weight of the plan in his head. Every turn, every checkpoint, every signal. Behind him, Mucci keeps pace, checking his watch, whispering quiet encouragement to the men. Hours pass. Sweat darkens their uniforms. Mosquitoes swarm around their faces. One soldier stumbles into a ditch, splashing water. Everyone freezes. For a moment, the world stops. Then, nothing. No alarm, no shout. The line moves again. Near midnight, they cross a shallow stream. The water is cold, rising to their waists. A young ranger bites his lip to stop his teeth from chattering. Another reaches out, steadying him. No words, just the quiet touch that says, "We go together or not at all." At intervals, they pass through small villages where Filipino guerrillas wait in silence. A few bring coconuts, rice balls wrapped in banana leaves, small gifts offered without a word. The men nod their thanks and move on. By 2 in the morning, the column halts at the edge of an empty field. In the distance, faint under the moonlight, stand the fences of Cabanatuan camp. The land between them and the prisoners is bare, 700 yards of open ground, watched by sentries with rifles and searchlights. A ranger kneels, gazing at the wire glinting in the dark. "That's it?" he whispers. Prince nods. "That's it." The men drop to the ground, faces pressed into the grass. They will wait here until the signal comes, until the night gives them one narrow chance to make history. You can almost feel their heartbeat through the soil, slow and steady, counting down to the moment when the silence will finally break. The field lies silent. The wind moves through the tall grass, whispering softly, carrying the smell of earth and smoke. The rangers lie flat, motionless, every nerve alive. They are so close now that they can see the faint glow of lanterns swinging inside the camp. Somewhere beyond those lights, 513 men sleep on bamboo floors, unaware that help waits only minutes away. Captain Prince crawls forward, elbows sinking into the mud. Beside him, one of the Alamo scouts raises a pair of field glasses and studies the camp through the wavering night air. He whispers, "2 guards on the north tower, shift change in 15 minutes." Prince nods. That's their window. Behind them, the rest of the column waits in the grass. The air is thick with mosquitoes. A man scratches his neck, then stops mid-motion. Even that tiny sound feels too loud. One ranger checks his watch, 02:30. Another quietly recites the Lord's Prayer. No one dares move. A sudden flicker, a Japanese searchlight sweeps across the far field, cutting a white arc through the darkness. The beam slides over the grass, pausing just short of the ranger's position. Hearts pound, no one breathes. Then, slowly, the light drifts away. Prince presses his face into the dirt, exhaling carefully. He looks at Mucci. The commander's eyes meet his, calm and certain. No words are needed. They've come too far to turn back. A low murmur travels down the line. Scouts say all clear. From the village to the north, faint shapes move, Filipino guerrillas under Captain Juan Payota, positioning themselves at the Cebu River Bridge, ready to block Japanese reinforcements. To the south, Captain Josen's men set up along the main road, prepared to fight if the alarm is raised. Every part of the plan depends on timing, and the clock is already ticking. The night grows colder. Some of the POWs stir in their sleep, coughing weakly. A Japanese guard yawns, stamping his feet against the chill. Prince glances again at the open field. 700 yards of nothing between them and the fence. He can feel the distance like a weight on his chest. He whispers, almost to himself, "If they spot us now, we'll never make it." Mucci leans close. They won't. Then, in the far distance, there's a faint, strange hum, an aircraft engine. The men look up at the same time. A twin-engine plane is approaching from the west, gliding low under the clouds. Prince frowns. That's no coincidence. Mucci's voice is quiet but firm. That's our distraction. The waiting is almost over. In the next few minutes, the impossible will begin. The Rangers tighten their grips on their rifles. The scouts check their watches again. Above them, the steady drone of the approaching plane grows louder, rolling over the camp like distant thunder. And in that charged silence, before the first shot, before the first shout, the night itself seems to hold its breath. The sound deepens, low, steady, circling. A P-61 Black Widow, dark as the sky itself, sweeps over Cabanatuan. Its twin engines roar, then stutter as if damaged. It banks hard, dipping its wings, drawing every eye in the camp upward. Inside the wire, Japanese guards shout and gesture, their rifles forgotten for the moment as they follow the strange plane. To them, it looks like an American aircraft in trouble, maybe about to crash nearby. To the Rangers lying in the grass, it is salvation. "Now," Prince whispers. One by one, the men begin to crawl. Elbows, knees, inches at a time through dry stalks of grass. The field is open, no trees, no cover, but the noise of the plane swallows the sound of movement. The grass rustles softly like wind through paper. The men move in rhythm with the hum above, stopping each time the engines fade, sliding forward when they rise again. 700 yards, 600, 5. Mucci watches through binoculars, heart pounding but face calm. Every few seconds he glances toward the camp, still distracted, still unaware. Behind him, the guerrilla scouts wait, poised to strike if the alarm is raised. At the far edge of the field, the Alamo scouts reach the fence line. They flatten themselves against the earth, knives ready to cut through barbed wire if needed. They can hear the guards talking in Japanese just on the other side. Prince signals for the rest to halt. They've reached their positions, close enough to see the outline of the main gate, the shape of the guard towers, the flicker of lanterns near the barracks. He wipes a bead of sweat from his temple. "We're in place," he whispers into the radio. "All units ready." Back along the road, the Filipino guerrillas begin their part. Captain Pahoda orders his men to cut the telephone wires leading to Cabanatuan City. Another squad sets explosives under the bridge at Cebu River, ready to block Japanese trucks. To the south, Josen's men take up defensive positions with machine guns scavenged from earlier battles. The web of coordination tightens. Americans, Filipinos, scouts, all working in silence toward a single heartbeat of timing. In the camp, the Japanese soldiers return to their posts. The P-61 climbs away into the clouds, its job done. The noise fades, leaving behind the same heavy stillness. Prince checks his watch, 7:40 p.m. He looks to Mucci, who nods once. "Signal," Mucci says quietly. A hand rises in the dark, then falls. Far across the field, a brief flash from a covered flashlight answers. The assault begins. Rangers spring up from the grass like shadows breaking free of the earth. They move fast, low, rifles aimed, hearts hammering. In the next half hour, they will try to rewrite the fate of 500 men. But for now, in this breathless moment before impact, all that exists is darkness, courage, and the faint echo of a plane fading into the night. 7:40 p.m. The night erupts, not in chaos, but in purpose. From the northern side of the camp, Captain Prince's Company C surges through the main gate. A burst of controlled fire shatters the lock, and the Rangers sweep in like a tide. At the same moment, Company F strikes from the rear, cutting down the guard towers with precise single shots. The Japanese soldiers have no time to react. What they see are shadows, silent, fast, relentless. Inside the camp, confusion explodes. A guard yells, then disappears into the dark. Others run toward the barracks, shouting orders no one can follow. The prisoners jerk awake, startled by the noise. For a moment, they believe it's the end, execution at last. Some drop to their knees, covering their heads. A voice cuts through the panic. "Don't shoot! We're Americans! You're safe now!" The words ripple through the camp like lightning. Men stumble out of the huts, blinking into the night. They see the stars and stripes patch on the uniforms, the familiar helmets. Disbelief becomes a cry of joy. Captain Prince moves fast, clearing each barrack with his team. "Get them up," he shouts. "Anyone who can walk, help the others." In the center compound, Lieutenant Murphy's squad tears open bamboo doors, dragging out the too weak to stand. One prisoner, little more than bone and will, stares at his rescuer through hollow eyes. "I thought you forgot us," he whispers. The ranger shakes his head, almost smiling. "We never forget our own." Beyond the fences, Filipino guerrillas exchange gunfire with a small Japanese patrol trying to reach the camp. Their job is to delay, not destroy. Every second counts. Inside, the evacuation begins. Rangers form a human chain, carrying men on their backs, dragging makeshift stretchers made from cots and blankets. The weakest POWs are lifted into carabao carts, wooden wagons waiting beyond the gate, guided by local farmers. Prince checks his watch. 20 minutes. He signals to Muchi, "Time to move." "Everyone out!" The camp is nearly empty now. Flames lick at a supply shed, lighting the sky orange. The men hurry through the gate, helping one another over the trenches and through the mud. 2 Rangers stay behind just long enough to blow up the ammunition stores, making sure nothing usable remains. Then they run. As the last cart rolls into the open field, Muchi looks back once. The barbed wire glows faintly in the firelight, and for the first time in 3 years, Cabanatuan stands empty. He whispers, almost to himself, "Let's bring him home." Behind them, smoke rises slowly into the night, a signal not of loss, but of deliverance. The rescue has taken 30 minutes. Now comes the harder part, getting everyone out alive. The column snakes away from the burning camp, disappearing into the tall grass. Behind them, the night glows faintly with firelight, but ahead, only darkness. There are no cheers, no triumph, only the soft creak of wagon wheels and the slow shuffle of exhausted men trying to stay upright. Each step is agony for the former prisoners. Many have not walked more than a few yards in months. Now they must march through open fields, barefoot, weak, trembling from fever. The Rangers move among them, whispering encouragement, steadying arms, lifting bodies onto carabao carts, wooden wagons pulled by water buffalo, guided by villagers who had waited in silence all night for this moment. The road toward friendly lines stretches for 30 miles. And now word has spread, Japanese troops from Cabanatuan are on the move. Captain Juan Pajota's guerrillas are already in position at the Cabu River Bridge, less than a mile from the camp. The bridge is narrow, flanked by palm trees, perfect for an ambush. Pajota watches the far road through field glasses, the moon glinting faintly off his rifle barrel. He turns to his men. "Hold the bridge," he says quietly. "No one crosses." Moments later, the rumble of truck engines echoes through the valley. Headlights cut through the darkness. Japanese reinforcements. Pajota signals with his hand. A single burst of fire shatters the quiet. The first truck screeches to a halt. The second veers off the road, crashing into the ditch. Chaos erupts. But Pajota's men do not charge. They fire, move, disappear. Just enough to stall the enemy, never long enough to reveal their numbers. Each minute they delay gives the Rangers and their column more distance, more hope. Back on the trail, Captain Prince marches alongside the wagons, checking the wounded. A prisoner mutters weakly, "How much farther?" Prince answers softly, "A little more. Just hold on." Lieutenant Colonel Mucci keeps to the rear, ensuring no one is left behind. The men are moving slower now. Fatigue presses like a weight on their backs. The Carabo carts creak, their wooden wheels grinding through mud and water. The farmers click their tongues, urging the animals forward, eyes fixed on the road ahead. The sound of distant gunfire drifts through the night, Pajota's men still holding the line. Then silence again, the kind of silence that means either victory or death. A scout jogs back, whispering urgently to Mucci, "Bridge secure, guerrillas still holding." Mucci exhales, "Tell them we owe them our lives." The column keeps moving. Behind them, smoke from the camp fades into the horizon. Ahead, the faint gray of dawn begins to rise over the paddies, painting the wet earth silver. They have escaped the camp, but the jungle, the rivers, and the long miles home still stand between them and safety. Prince looks over the line of weary figures trudging ahead. He knows what's at stake now. The rescue was only half the mission. Now, he murmurs, we just have to live long enough to finish it. The first light of morning creeps over the horizon, soft and gray. Mist rises from the rice paddies, curling around the feet of the Rangers and the freed prisoners. They have been moving for hours, quietly, steadily, toward the safety of American lines. Every sound carries in the dawn, the low grunts of the carabaos, the labored breaths of the rescued men, the whisper of boots sliding through wet grass. The air smells of smoke, water, and sweat, of life and exhaustion mixed together. Captain Prince walks beside a cart where two men lie under a blanket. One of them, a gaunt sergeant with sunken eyes, looks up. "Are we really free?" he asks, voice trembling, as if afraid the answer might vanish with the morning fog. Prince nods. "You're free. You're going home." The man closes his eyes. A tear slides down his cheek. "Home," he repeats, as if testing the word. Behind them, Lieutenant Colonel Mucci checks the rear guard. Two Rangers have fallen earlier in the night, shot in the firefight at the bridge. Their comrades carry on without pause, knowing that stopping could cost hundreds more lives. Mucci doesn't speak of the loss yet. There will be time for mourning later. For now, there is only the mission. They pass through another village, small bamboo houses, palm leaves glistening in the weak sunlight. The people come out quietly, offering what little they have: rice porridge, coconuts, clean water. One woman presses a handful of mango slices into a prisoner's hand. He stares at her, unable to speak, then manages a hoarse "Salamat." "Thank you." The villagers smile and step aside to let the procession pass. They have risked everything. If the Japanese find out they helped, the punishment will be swift. But they help anyway. Because freedom, even someone else's, is worth the danger. By mid-morning, the heat rises again. The men move slower now, but the end is near. Scouts return with word. American troops are waiting just beyond the next ridge. Prince climbs the slope first, scanning the open land beyond. Then he freezes. At the base of the hill, lined up in perfect formation, are U.S. soldiers waving helmets in the air. Cheers erupt. Some Rangers laugh out loud for the first time in days. Others simply stand still, staring as disbelief gives way to relief. The column pours over the ridge. Rangers, POWs, guerrillas, villagers, an unlikely army bound together by exhaustion and victory. As they reach friendly lines, medics rush forward with blankets, stretchers, and steaming cups of coffee. A nurse kneels beside an old prisoner, feeding him spoonfuls of soup. He grips her wrist weakly. "I thought we were forgotten," he whispers. She shakes her head, smiling through tears. No one forgets heroes. Nearby, Mucci lowers himself onto a rock, finally allowing his hands to tremble. He watches the rescued men eat, drink, and laugh softly. The noise of life fills the air again, something fragile, beautiful, hard-won. In 30 minutes of battle and 30 miles of darkness, they had turned despair into deliverance. What began as an impossible task ended as proof of what courage and compassion could do. The sun rises fully now, bright and gold over the fields. For the first time in 3 years, the men of Cabanatuan walk freely in daylight. The sun climbs higher, burning away the morning mist. The field is alive with motion. Rangers tending the wounded, medics wrapping bandages, Filipino farmers offering water from clay jugs. For the first time in years, the prisoners eat without fear, sleep without guards, and speak without whispers. Some sit quietly, staring at the horizon as if still expecting orders. Others laugh, soft and disbelieving, trying to remember how. Freedom, after so long, feels like a dream that hasn't caught up to reality. A photographer snaps pictures, their faces hollow but alive, eyes bright with something close to wonder. One man, barely strong enough to stand, raises a shaky salute as a ranger passes by. The ranger stops, returns the salute, and smiles. No words are needed. Nearby, Lieutenant Colonel Mucci and Captain Prince stand together for the first time since the rescue began. Their uniforms are streaked with mud, their eyes bloodshot from lack of sleep. Mucci watches the freed prisoners, the carabao carts, the villagers still helping in quiet rhythm. "Look at them," Prince says softly. "They're actually here." Mucci nods. "They're home." He pauses. "We did what we came to do." It's not triumph in his voice, more like gratitude, heavy and deep. Around them, soldiers share what little they have: chocolate bars, cigarettes, canteens passed from hand to hand. The simple, human things that make life real again. A few yards away, an old guerrilla sits on a fence post, watching the scene unfold. He fought for years with almost nothing, no supplies, no promise of victory. Now he sees the faces of men he helped save, and his expression softens. "They will remember this," he says quietly in Tagalog. "Maybe not our names, but they will remember." As night falls again, the rescued men rest in clean blankets under a wide Philippine sky. No searchlights, no fences, only stars, bright, endless, familiar. Somewhere nearby, a radio operator sends a message to headquarters. Mission accomplished. Over 500 prisoners rescued, minimal losses, returning with all. In distant command tents, officers will call it a success. History books will call it the Cabanatuan raid. But for the men who lived it, success is something quieter, breathing freely, feeling sunlight, hearing laughter again. In 30 minutes, 121 men changed the course of 500 lives. They proved that even in the darkest places, courage can find a way through. The camera lingers on the faces of those saved, thin, scarred, but alive. Their eyes reflect the dawn of something larger than victory, the belief that hope, once kindled, can survive anything.
80 years have passed since that night in January 1945. The barbed wire is gone now. The guard towers have crumbled. Where the prison once stood, there are trees, sunlight, and the faint sound of children playing in the distance. At the Pangatian Memorial Shrine, families gather each year, Americans, Filipinos, and their descendants. They stand in the shadow of a stone wall engraved with names: Muchi, Prince, Pajota, Jocelyn, and hundreds of others who risked everything when the odds said it couldn't be done. The air at the memorial is still. You can almost hear the echoes of that night: boots in the mud, whispered commands, the creak of a cartwheel. A survivor's grandson lays a wreath at the base of the monument. He's never met his grandfather, but he carries his photo folded in his wallet, edges worn from time. He looks up at the stone and says softly, "You made it home, Lolo. You all made it home." Nearby, a group of students from Cabanatuan listen as a teacher tells the story of the rescue. Her voice is gentle, but the words carry power. "It was not a battle for land," she says. "It was a battle for the soul of humanity." The camera moves slowly over the site. Green fields, a rebuilt marker, flags from two nations fluttering side by side. In one corner, an elderly Filipino man stands silently, a small medal pinned to his chest. He was a messenger for the guerrillas back then, a boy of 16 who carried notes across rice fields. Now he watches the ceremony with wet eyes. "We were not soldiers," he says, "but we did what we could, and that was enough." Across the ocean, in museums and archives, the story of the Cabanatuan raid continues to be studied and retold. Documentaries, history books, and films call it the most successful POW rescue of World War II. But even those words can't fully hold what it meant. To the prisoners, to the rescuers, to the people who risked their villages for strangers. The men who fought that night are gone now, but what they did remains. Proof that courage, loyalty, and kindness can outlive any war. The final shot fades from the memorial to black and white footage of the freed POWs stepping onto trucks in 1945. Thin, smiling, waving weakly at the cameras. Their faces dissolve into the faces of their grandchildren today, laughing in sunlight. "Every war leaves behind ruins," the narrator says softly, "but sometimes it also leaves behind miracles." As the music rises, strings slow and full, the camera pans upward toward the same Philippine sky that watched over them that night. In Cabanatuan, 121 men carried 500 others out of darkness. And in doing so, they reminded the world that even in war, humanity still has the power to rescue itself. The screen fades to light, the color of dawn.